Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have part 8 of Cookie by Jacqueline Wilson, continuing from chapter 13. Mum started the car and we drove off. "Where are we going, Mum?" I asked. Mum didn't answer for a minute. I thought she was just concentrating on her driving. Then she gave a shaky little laugh. "I don't know," she said. "Oh," I said. Mum carried on driving. I bit my lip, thinking hard. "Well, there's your mum, my Nana," I suggested. "No," said Mum. "Not if she's still with that same boyfriend. I left home at the age of 16 on account of him. My mum didn't seem to care much. She certainly wouldn't welcome me back with open arms." "OK, not her then," I said quickly, because Mum was sounding like she might burst into tears any minute. "My other granny was dead. We didn't really seem to have any proper relations." I thought about friends. I thought about my best friend Rona. My heart started beating faster. We could go to the Marshalls," I said. "Who?" said Mum. "Rona's family." "Oh, Beauty, we don't know them properly. I don't even know Rona's mum's first name. I've only said hello to her. We can't just turn up on their doorstep," said Mum. "I know Rona," I said stubbornly, "and Mr. and Mrs. Marshall are ever so kind. They really like me. I know they'd like you too." "No," said Mum. "Get real, Beauty. We can't just up sticks and go and live with the Marshalls. This isn't just for one night. This is forever. Well, if we want it to be forever." Mum slowed down. "We could go back." I thought hard. I was nearly crying too. It was so frightening having to make decisions. Dad had always told both of us what to do. Should we go back to Dad? If we went down on our knees and said sorry enough times, he'd welcome us back with open arms. But then I thought of those arms swinging through the air and smashing all those cookies Mum had made so lovingly. I thought of his hands unlatching Birthday's hutch and shooing him out into the garden. "We're not going back. We're going forward," I said. "Right," said Mum, and she reached out and squeezed my hand. Two girls together. "Driving on and on into the sunset," I said, driving and driving and driving until... I let my voice tail away. We both fell silent. I took a deep breath. "I suppose we can always sleep in the car, Mum." "Oh, Beauty, bless you. No, we're definitely not doing that. I'll make sure there's a proper roof over your head. I'll sell more of my jewellery. It's just tonight and Sunday that's the problem. But don't worry, I'll think of something." Mum drove on, staring straight ahead. She was gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles looked about to burst through her skin. "What's that song? Don't worry, be happy," she said. She didn't know all the words, so she sang the same line over and over again. I stared out of the window. Everything looked so astonishingly ordinary and everyday. Street after street, shops, restaurants, houses, a Happy Homes estate. "Mum, I know where we can go. Auntie Avril." Mum slowly slowed down, thinking. "But she's your dad's ex-wife," she said. "Well, you're going to be his ex-wife too, and she likes us. She's just sent me these lovely felt pens. Oh, Mum, let's go to Auntie Avril's. She lives on the fruit bush estate, and that's just over there, look." "Well, maybe we could try," Mum said doubtfully. She reversed into a side entrance and drove back to the Happy Homes fruit bush estate. "Are you sure it's this one?" "There are so many blessed Happy Homes estates," said Mum. "She lives at 7 Cherry Drive. I know it from writing her thank you letters." I peered out of the car window. "That's Lime Avenue and Great Plain. All these fruity names. I wonder what else your dad made up. Do you think there's an Apple Alley? What about a Banana Bend or Raspberry Road?" We started giggling hysterically as we drove round the estate. "Hey, look, Cherry Drive," I said. "Well done, Beauty." Mum drew up outside number 7. It was less than half the size of our own house, a small, shrunken, semi-detached happy home with a narrow strip of grass at the front. But Auntie Avril had put trellis up on her brickwork so that the clematis and wisteria hung lushly, softening the red of the brick. She'd planted pansies and geraniums in her garden, and there was a hanging basket of pink petunias swinging above the blue front door. Her doormat said welcome. We hoped Auntie Avril would say welcome too. "Right, ready, steady, go," said Mum. She opened up her handbag and peered at herself in her mirror. "God, I look such a mess." "No, you don't, Mum. You look lovely," I said. "Come on." We got out of the car and went up the drive together. I rang the bell. We waited, holding hands. Then the door opened and Auntie Avril stared at us in surprise. She looked older than I remembered, and she was a lot plumper. Her hair was very bright yellow blonde. "Good Lord. Dear, listen, Beauty," she peered behind us. "Where's Jerry?" Mum and I looked at each other uncertainly. Auntie Avril put her hand to her mouth, smudging her red lipstick. "Oh, God, he hasn't died, has he?" No, he's fine," said Mum. "It's just..." She swallowed. "Can we come in, Avril?" Yes, of course. Only I'm going out in about half an hour. Still, there's plenty of time for a cup of tea. In you come." We trooped in after her. We automatically took our shoes off by the front door. Auntie Avril kept her high heels on and laughed at us. "I see Jerry's got you well trained," she said, coming into the living room. It was a warm little room, with a dark crimson carpet and a black leather sofa with furry cushions, and as pink as the petunias. There was a big white cat curled decoratively at one end. "You've got a cat," I said. "That's my cream puff. Give her a gentle shove and she'll make room for you," said Auntie Avril. "Goodness, you're getting a big girl, Beauty. Of course, it's your birthday today, isn't it? Many happy returns." "Thank you ever so much for my lovely felt tips, Auntie Avril. They were just what I wanted," I said, nestling near Cream Puff. I delicately ran my fingers down her soft fur, and she sighed and quivered. "You've brought her up very nicely, Dilys," said Auntie Avril. "Oh, she means it, Avril. She loves crayoning. She's ever so good at art. Well, Beauty's good at most things. Not a bit like me," said Mum. "Not much like Jerry either," said Avril. "Well, he's bright enough. No flies on him. I'll go and make us that tea then. Or would you like something stronger, Dilys? You look as though you could do with a pick-you-up. Shall we have a little gin?" "It'll have to be very little gin, because I'm driving," said Mum, "unless—" She didn't dare say the rest. Auntie Avril bustled around, making 2 gin and tonics and a special lemonade for me with a couple of cherries and a weeny paper umbrella, just like a real cocktail. Cream Puff crept right onto my lap and started purring when I stroked her. "It's lovely to see you both," said Auntie Avril. "We'll have to get together more often. After all, we are family, sort of." I started to dare hope we might be at the start of a wonderful new life together. Auntie Avril, Mum and me. I imagined living in this cosy little house, playing with Cream Puff every day, sipping cocktails every evening, all of us dancing up and down the carpet in our outdoor shoes, with no one to tell us off, ever. "Come on then," Auntie Avril said, glancing at her watch. "Tell me why you've popped round out of the blue. It's Jerry, isn't it?" "Well, yes," said Mum. "We've split up." Auntie Avril sighed and downed the rest of her gin and tonic. She reached over and patted Mum's knee. "You poor little darling. Still, you know what it feels like now. So, who has he left you for? Not another little blonde?" No, Jerry hasn't left me." Mum took a deep breath. "I've left him." "What?" Auntie Avril looked astonished. "When?" "Just now. We packed our bags, Beauty and me, and walked out." "But why?" "I just couldn't stand it any more," Mum said shakily. "What did he do?" "He just kept shouting at us, belittling us, telling us what to do all the time," Mum said, starting to cry. "I know he's very stressed about his work. It's all going wrong. There's even some talk of bribery. I suppose he could be in a really big trouble, but that's no excuse for being so mean to us." I eased Cream Puff off my lap and went to put my arm around Mum. "Oh, don't you worry about our Jerry," said Auntie Avril. "He's always stressed. He's always in trouble. But he'll fix it. Just you wait and see. I know he can be a royal pain at times. That's just the way he is. The way most men are, come to think of it. But he's not such a bad egg, Dilys. He thinks the world of you and Beauty. He's set you up in a lovely home. He's lavished money on you. What more could you want? He was terrible today, humiliating me in front of Beauty's party guests. He organised this ridiculous stretch limo and tickets for birthday bonanza." "Oh yes, well, that doesn't sound particularly humiliating. It sounds like he was doing his best to give Beauty a lovely birthday treat. Grow up, Dilys. Jerry's got many faults, as I know all too well, but you could do a lot worse. He broke all the cookies Mum made especially, and let my birthday rabbit out of its cage and a fox killed it," I said, starting to sob too. Oh dear, that's a real shame, darling, but you don't break up a happy home just for that." "It isn't a happy home, even though it's got that stupid name," said Mum. "We've not been happy there, Avril. It's getting to Beauty as well as to me. I've never been able to stand up for myself very well, but I can stand up for my little girl. She needs a fresh start, somewhere quiet and peaceful where she's not shouted at all the time." "And where's that?" said Auntie Avril. There was a silence. You don't mean here with me?" she said. "Well, if we could just stay a few days, until we get on our feet and I've found myself a job," Mum suggested timidly. "You have to be joking. You can't stay here. Whatever would Jerry say?" "Well, I have a rough idea what he'd say, only I'm not using that sort of language in front of Beauty here. Don't forget Jerry's given me this house. I'm not risking putting his nose out of joint. I don't want to find myself shoved out on the streets, homeless." "But we're homeless," said Mum, snuffling. We haven't got anywhere else to go. What are we going to do, Avril?" "I don't know, darling." She looked at her watch again. "I'm going to be late. I'm meeting 3 of my girlfriends in town for a pizza, and then we're all going to the gala bingo. It's not exactly a wild night out for a Saturday, but It's not likely a tall, dark stranger is going to come calling at my time of life. Do yourself a favour, Dillis. Jerry's not tall, and he's not dark, and he's certainly not a stranger, but he's all man, and if I remember rightly, he can be fun to be with. Stop this nonsense and get yourself back home sharpish." "No," said Mum. "I know you mean well, Avril, but we're not going back. We'll just have to find some place else." "Where exactly?" said Auntie Avril. Perhaps we can go to the council on Monday and they'll find us a little flat," Mum said desperately. Auntie Avril laughed at her. I was starting not to like her now. "They've got a waiting list a mile long, you silly woman. You and Beauty would never qualify in a million years. You've got a luxurious 6-bedroom house. You deliberately made yourself homeless." "Well, there are still refugees, aren't there?" said Mum. For battered wives. So has Jerry battered you?" He slapped my face and he twisted my wrist. "Oh, get a grip, Dillis. Most of these poor women in these places have been beaten to a pulp. They'd give their right arms to swap places with you. If I'm honest, I still would, even though I know Jerry's no angel." "Well, you have him then," said Mum. "I don't stand a chance. I'm way past my sell-by date as far as Jerry's concerned, and most men too, apart from the daft old codgers. You think twice, Dillis. It's a lonely life without a man." "It's a lonely life with the wrong man," said Mum. She drained her glass and then stood up. "Well, thank you very much for the drink, Avril. We must let you be off to your friends." You don't have to go. Look, you can stay here tonight by all means. If you really won't go back, there's heaps to eat in the fridge and just help yourselves. Have another drink or two. Watch a bit of telly. Whatever. I've only got one bed in my spare room, but I'm sure you won't mind squashing up together. I'll be back around 10:30 or 11. Then we'll talk about things in the morning. I'm sure you'll see things differently then. You've got to consider Beauty and what's best for her. Think about it, Dilly. Ta-ta then." She kissed Mum. She kissed me, slipped on her lilac leather jacket and rushed off. Mum and I sat either side of Cream Puff, neither of us saying a word. Mum nibbled the edge of her fingernail, staring down at the deep red carpet. "Are you thinking about it, Mum?" I asked in a tiny voice. "I'm thinking so hard my flippin' head's going to burst," said Mum. She bit harder, breaking one of her lovely manicured nails. "Don't, Mum." "What?" She hadn't even realised what she was doing. "You'll chew right down to your knuckles if you don't watch out," I said. "I don't want a mum with fingers all frayed at the edges." I said it to make her laugh, but she still looked as if she was going to cry. "Avril thinks I'm bonkers," she said shakily. "Maybe I am. Oh, Beauty, I don't know what to do." "Let's stay here tonight. I like it here," I said, stroking Cream Puff. She stretched herself lazily. She obviously liked it here too. "Maybe Auntie Avril will change her mind and let us stay for a while. I could do all sorts of errands for her, feed Cream Puff and make cups of tea and do the vacuuming, and you could—" "Yeah, what could I do?" Mum said tearfully. "You could make us cookies," I said. I was serious, but this time Mum snorted with laughter, even though the tears were still running down her face. "A fat lot of use that is," she said, blowing her nose. "No, Beauty, we'll have to go somewhere else tomorrow. Avril's right, your dad would be furious. It's very kind of her to let us stay now. Come on, let's go and see what's in the fridge." There were lots of special ready meals for one. We heated 2 in Auntie Avril's microwave and ate them at her tiny kitchen table. I'd hardly been able to eat any of my special birthday buffet. I realised I was starving now. I wolfed my meal down, and most of Mum's, because she just stirred her food around and round with her fork. She was thinking again, frowning hard at her plate, twisting her knife and fork around and round like the hands of a clock. I leaned forward and rubbed her frown lines with my fingers. "We'll be okay, Mum," I whispered. "Yes, of course we will," she said. "Tell you what, shall we see if April's got some flour and sugar and stuff? We could make her some cookies as a thank you present. Do you think she'd like that?" "I think she'd love your cookies, Mum." "You start looking for all the ingredients then, and I'll go and get the cases. I remembered to pack my recipe book," Mum said proudly. We made sugar and spice cookies, raiding Auntie Avril's spice rack and sifting cinnamon and cloves into the cookie dough. We washed up carefully while the cookies were baking, looking anxiously at Auntie Avril's oven every 2 minutes, in case it might misbehave and burn them. When we opened the oven door, we breathed a great sigh of relief. The cookies looked perfect and smelled delicious. "We could have one each, just to make sure they're all right," said Mum. It was getting near my bedtime now, but I didn't want to go to bed and leave Mum sitting worrying all by herself. "Oh, you might as well stay up if you're not sleepy. After all, it is your birthday," said Mum. I'd totally forgotten it was still my birthday. It seemed to have lasted for weeks already. Mum switched on Auntie Avril's television, but we couldn't settle to watching anything for more than 2 minutes. "I know," said Mum. "You packed your Sam and Lily DVD, didn't you?" "You bet I did." "Well, run and fetch it then." I slotted Sam and Lily into the DVD player. Mum and I curled up together to watch. Cream Puff woke up to watch too. Who do you want to see? Said the voice, as Sam and Lily spun around and round. The little children sang Sam and Lily in the rabbit hutch. Mum and I sang it too. Hey there, said Sam directly to me. He looked surprised to see me squashed up on a slippery leather sofa in a completely strange room. Lily blinked at Cream Puff. How are you doing? Asked Sam. I'm fine, I said. Sam put his head on one side. Well, maybe I'm telling fibs, I whispered. I glanced at Mum. She was frowning again, nibbling at her nail, clearly not concentrating on the programme. Sam, Mum and I have left Dad. Something terrible happened. I can't say it in front of Lily. We're at Auntie Averill's now, but we can't stay here, and we haven't got anywhere else to go, I mouthed. Oh dear, Sam said softly. I think you and Mum need a little break. How about a holiday? He raised his voice, asking everyone now, Where do you go on holiday? Do you go to the seaside? We don't really go anywhere on holiday, I said. We went to Marbella once, but Dad got all fidgety and bored on the beach and said it was a waste of time. Lily doesn't like to go on holiday much, said Sam. She doesn't like too much sun. She doesn't like getting her paws all sandy. She doesn't like paddling. She doesn't even like ice cream. Isn't she a funny bunny? I love sunbathing. I love building sandcastles. I love swimming in the sea. And I especially love ice cream. So do I said. I should have a little holiday right now, said Sam. Just to me. You and Mum. You'll have a lovely time. It will all work out, you'll see. I nodded, snuggling up to Mum and Cream Puff, suddenly soothed. My head went on nodding, and then Mum was gently shaking me awake. Your DVD's finished, pet. You've had a little doze. Let's pop you up to bed. I think I'll go to bed too. I don't really want Averill lecturing me when she comes home. We had a quick wash in Auntie Averill's bright turquoise bathroom. Mum had forgotten to pack a nightie, so she wore one of my T-shirts. She looked more of a little girl than ever. The spare room was very grown up and glamorous, with a leopard skin throw over the bed and a great china leopard baring its teeth at us in the corner. Watch out he doesn't bite, said Mum. He looks almost as scary as that giant pink rabbit. We got the giggles again and tried to jump into bed quick, but Auntie Averill had sheets instead of a duvet, and she tucked them in so firmly you had to pull for all you were worth to prise your way in. They felt icy too, so Mum and I had to cuddle up close. We were both shivering, though it wasn't that cold. I can't quite believe we're here, said Mum. It feels so strange. I wonder what your Dad's doing now. He'll be ranting, I said. But he's all by himself, said Mum. I imagined Dad stomping up and down the house in his socks, bellowing abuse. I saw him very big at first, but he started to get smaller, and the empty house got bigger, until he was scampering about like a mouse, squeaking to no one at all. Mum? Yes, darling? I feel kind of sorry for Dad. I know. So do I. But if we went back, he'd just start all over again. I know that too. We were quiet for a little. I thought of Dad bashing the cookies. I thought about birthday. Beauty, don't cry, darling. Oh, Mum, look. This sounds daft, but do you think baby rabbits go to heaven? Yes, definitely, said Mum. And do you think he'll be whole there? His little head will be back in place? Yes, of course. He'll be skipping about with all the angels. They'll be having little arguments over who gets to have him as their special pet, said Mum. We were quiet again. We heard the front door open and Auntie Averill came in. We heard her go into the kitchen and give a little gasp. We nudged each other, knowing she must have spotted the plate of cookies. We heard a glass clinking downstairs, and then after 10 minutes or so, she came upstairs. She stayed quiet until she'd been in bed a while. Then I whispered in Mum's ear, Are you still awake? Yes. I know you're right. Auntie Averill's okay, but we can't stay here, I said. So, have you thought where we can go? I've thought, but I haven't come up with anything just yet, said Mum. I think I know where we can go. Where, darling? The seaside. But we don't know anyone at the seaside, do we? It doesn't matter, does it? We could pretend we're going on holiday. We haven't had a holiday for ages. We've got a bit of money. Let's just go to the seaside and paddle and sunbathe, and it'll all feel easy and normal. We'll just be like everyone else on our holiday. I was cuddled up so close to Mum I could feel her heart beating fast. Okay, she said. That's what we'll do. For tomorrow, anyway. Well done, Beauty. It's a great idea. And that is where we will leave part 8 of Cookie by Jacqueline Wilson. I'll be back soon with the next part of this fantastic story and lots more stories and videos coming your way very soon. If you would like to subscribe or hit a like, that's always appreciated. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.